Happy Pride Month. It is June 4th, 2026. I was originally going to do this on paper, then I realized I don't have any way to prop up my phone so that you can see the paper as I'm drawing on it. So, let's do this first. Hold on. Possibly I should have just copied and pasted this in first. Anyways, this is going to be a really basic video about an intersex variation that is ridiculously understudied in 2026 in modern times for some reason, even though it wasn't in the 18 something somethings. Hello, Mr. Lupin. Do you want to meow for the camera? Mr. Lupin! Did you hear his little murr? So this is the intersex flag, a version of it that's not eye straining, just picked here on MS Paint. Let me zoom out. This is for people who probably assume that they are parasex females, but maybe not. So this is going to have some really basic diagrams of quote-unquote female genitalia, aka a vulva, which, goddamn, American sex education is so terrible. My entire life I thought these were all just called vaginas. That's only the inside part. The outside part is called a vulva. Why wasn't I not taught that in school? That's ridiculous. So the diagrams are just going to be ovals like this. So let me color that in. We'll do it grayscale so you can see the things. So we're just going to do a basic diagram like this. And I'll just do a really, really, really basic version of a parasex version. So, this would be the vaginal opening. This is the part that actually goes inside, if you're parasex. Hello, Mr. Lupin! Oh, he's so cute. He's nuzzling my feet. And then, like, in the middle section up here, at the top part, you would have the clitoris. It's under a hood thing, so you might not be able to see it. It's got like a hood thing that kind of hides it. You just pretend that looks normal. And then, oh wait, I still have that selected. Okay. And then, your urethra is where the pee comes out. And for parasex people, that's like an equal distance between the bottom of the clitoris up here and the top of the vaginal canal down here. It's like approximately in the center like that. But if you're intersex, let me copy and paste. Let me just scoot some things. Also, you might realize this looks different from your Windows or your Paint. Your MS Paint, because I'm on Windows 10, because my laptop, it updated years ago to Windows 11, but I hated it so much I forced it to revert, and now it's decided it's too crappy to even try, so I get the paint that actually works well, unlike other people. Anyways, this is an approximate parasex vulva, and then I'm gonna draw, and one version of an intersex one. Possibly I could have just copied and pasted that, but I'm too lazy. I'm not going to keep drawing that part up there, but you can just imagine it's there. So that would be the clitoris, and then if you're intersex, your urethra, instead of being up here, maybe I should probably scoot that a little bit. This is not math. Just pretend equal distance. Should be like in the middle there. But if you are intersex, it might be. Oh, would help if I had the shape. Again, this is a really rough diagram. It's not the best diagram. But it'll be further down. So it could be there. It could be right there. It might be like on the edge of this. And it might even be inside. And it might be so far inside you can't see it at all. And that the pee just seems to come out of the bigger hole down here. And also, you just might not have a bigger hole at all. So let me draw another one. I see a little kitty looking at me. Do you want to come up and sit on my lap? You want to sit with me, Mr. Lupin? He's just looking up at me like, hello, I'm here. I just want attention. You just want to be pet? Because you're so cute? We'll draw another one. That up there. This, I actually found a medical diagram from, I think it was 1896, maybe 18 something or other, but, so yeah, here's general view of a parasex one. Here's one of the intersex variations. Oh, before I get distracted again, I didn't even say what this is called, but if your urethral opening is lower down than, like, the approximate equal between them, that is called hypospadias. My text might be big. Whoop. Okay, no. Oh, I forgot my keyboard. Let me make that smaller. We'll just make that gold. I'll draw more circles so you can see. It doesn't, and then if it's, yeah, anything that's like lower than normal, and if it is inside the vaginal canal, it is hypospadias, and it is a persistent urogenital sinus, also known as PUGS. We'll code them, which is also a form of hypospadias, but it's a more specific form. And then if it is, let me get that down, and then your urethra can also be higher than normal, and that is called epispadias. So if it were like, oh, I meant to click on blue. Give me blue for the sky. Oh my gosh. Gotta go around the other colors. Oop. If you hear the sound of a cat, that's him using the scratching post because he's a good kitty. So epispadias would mean your urethra can open much higher than usual, and let me do that. And epispady, okay, we'll do it like that. This can also be called mesospadias if you have ambiguous genitalia. I will attempt to draw a diagram of that quick. We just got to do it separate because that one's running out of space. So we'll say, take that. So if you have ambiguous genitalia, which can include clitoromegaly, I don't know how you pronounce that, where your clitoris is bigger than normal. With epispadias, your urethra can be like in/on your clitoris, and if you have clitoromegaly, like if your urethra was there at the end of your clitoris instead of like what would be under that part right there in a parasex vulva, that can also be called mesospadias because if your setup is considered a vulva, it is, oh, I don't have white selected as the background, so it's not transparent. Hold on. Some people choose to consider this mesospadias because it's like in, oh, wrong buttons, clicking everything wrong. It's epispadias for a vulva, but it would be the normal placement for a penis. So meso means like kind of in the middle, so it's kind of both at the same time because of the ambiguous genitalia. These are really basic diagrams, but it gives you the idea. And you can also have it click like that in other positions on the clitoris which again would be considered hypospadias in a penis, but in a vulva it's all epispadias, so it can be considered mesospadias, but you just choose whatever words you choose best. And then click. So here's a generic parasex version, and this isn't showing any of the labia or anything, it's just the inner part, because it gets a lot more complicated. But anyways, then other intersex variations, click. You got, whoops, we'll just do that. And then here, this is one from a medical diagram from, what year did I just say? 1896 or something like that. And I can't even, I don't know, you'll see. So, and this diagram is labeled as, it's not even mentioned as having hypospadias, even though it very clearly is, because it's showing the urethra all the way down here, and then there's also a tiny, tiny little hole down here that is ringed by a really thick hymen that protrudes out. I don't know how well I'll be able to draw the protrudiness of it, but I guess we'll do a lighter green. Maybe show shadows? Yeah, pretend that's like sticking out like a sleeve, like this. We'll do this. Oh. Yay, MS Paint. And this is considered, I guess I should just do darker green on the inside. We'll do it even darker green. Like that. This is considered a sleeve hymen, and for this thing, for the diagram I'm referencing, you couldn't see anything inside except just like some flesh. It wasn't going anywhere. So the diagram was labeled as, just as like from an exterior examination, it was being diagnosed as either vaginal or uterine, or no, wait, no, it was backwards because they talk backwards then. Atresia. And atresia, I haven't actually looked up the etymology, but it means like something that is not developing as much as it should, so it's usually smaller or just didn't grow at all. And this diagram is labeled atresia of the vagina and uterus, and then it had in parentheses, or a rudimentary uterus. I should have thought this video through before making it, because I can't open that file to actually show you the diagram without ending the video, so you'll just have to believe me. Also, I guess if I just keep them simple diagrams like this, more people would be willing to watch. But this was labeled as that. That's pretty fucking scary, because this is also what I look like. Not to be TMI, but like there's nothing in this whole area, and then my urethra is all the way down here, and then there's just this little hole. And this is another intersex variation, and it really pisses me off because I have had a pap smear. I've been in the hospital for things related to this whole thing down here multiple times as a kid, and not one single person told me anything, because if you think medical misogyny is bad, medical misogyny combined with intersexism gets even worse, because you get all the exact same bullshit, but now there's even more lying and gaslighting on top of it. And I can't remember if I made a video about this, but we're gonna also do that now, because we're just doing on multiple topics. But a pap smear, for those who don't know, is, can I scribble a basic diagram? Okay, we'll say that's a leg, other leg is here. We'll say that's the vaginal opening, and then that's the vaginal canal. This is a really crappy diagram. But then up here you have a cervix, which is like a thingy that goes, it's like at the end of the canal, and then it goes to where the eggs and stuff are stored. So you have a uterus up here. Maybe you do. Just draw. So it's like shaped like that. And this is where eggs and stuff, this is basic diagram, but like these are meant to be ovaries. These are called like the fallopian tubes, and then this is the whole uterus. I'm pretty sure this part right here is called the cervix, but when they are doing a pap smear, they go in with a thing that's called a speculum. It's like a thing like this that's got a little handle shaped like a duckbill, and then they hold a handle down here. That's a hand. And then they put that in, and this is not supposed to hurt. If you're a parasex person, it apparently doesn't fucking hurt if you're parasex. Oh, no, I'm drawing that wrong now. And then they have a button so that it can widen it. And then they have a little thing up here, like a little scope, so that they can look in and see your cervix to see if there's, and just the whole vaginal canal, to see if there's anything concerning going on, like cancer or something like that. And then they have a little bitty brush that they just go in with, and they take, it's literally just a little brush that they just swipe the cervix with, like, you know, in TV shows where they're getting DNA samples, they just swipe a cotton swab in people's mouths or something like that. It's the same thing. And if you're parasex, this is supposed to be mildly uncomfortable. Mildly being the key word there, but it's not supposed to hurt. If you're intersex, it can hurt like hell. Especially if you have this setup going down here, which the fucking textbook from 18 something or other was just casually saying, oh yeah, this is atresia of the vulva, vagina and uterus. And it's like, okay, that's great. So I will show you general setup that I have. So got this thing. It's all the way down here. Now the reason I'm talking about this is because if you try to look this stuff up for yourself, you will unfortunately just get fucking traumatized, because, you know, there's two options. You'll either find nothing or you'll just be traumatized, because it's nothing but gory photos during and immediately after surgery, and it's usually happening to children. And just don't, I really recommend not even trying to look this up, because that's most of what you will find, and it's just distressingly easy to find these images, and it shouldn't be this fucking easy. Like, these are in medical research papers and stuff, but like, doctors and stuff should be able to access them. But why are these pictures just all over the internet for everybody to see? Why are they showing up in the image search results on DuckDuckGo and Ecosia and other things like that? It's just, that's not how the whole, like, basic privacy thing is supposed to work. So I'm just making this video so other people can maybe see something that looks like them. Because this general setup here is what I have. I didn't do the right color. But then my hymen, this here is called a sleeve hymen because it sticks out. If you imagine that's the end of a coat sleeve. But then mine is also weird looking. It looks kind of like a fucking clamshell. Like a closed clamshell. And it's all the way down here. And then And then if you attempt to open it, which is pretty much impossible because bullcrap, it's like nothing inside but wavy, more hymen. Like somebody else who has a similar thing going on described it as like rose petals. Like if you look at a rose from above, all those petals just going together. Nothing else is visible. And this hole is this. I'll even copy and paste it. It's just like, so this is what parasex people have. This is what gynecologists who do these pap smears are used to seeing, and then I have this. And it's surrounded by thick, fleshy hymen, and my urethra is right there. So this, when I got a pap smear, everybody will tell you that they're not painful, and if you're parasex, they're not. But I am not parasex, and nobody told me that. Because like the whole vaginal canal, it's meant to be expanded and stuff and have stuff go in it because that's how sex works. If you're a reproductive couple and you're doing penis and vagina sex, that's how it's meant to work. Stuff's supposed to go in there to make babies because that's how babies happen. What color can we pick? We'll just do purple. Stuff goes in here. And parasex people, that doesn't hurt. But if you're intersex, it can a lot. And the reasons for this can be, we'll do orange. It can be much skinnier than normal. It can be, we'll do dark blue. It can be shorter than normal. Stuff like that. And I have no idea what's going on with me because, again, medical misogyny is bad enough. Medical misogyny and intersexism, even worse. So when I got my pap smear, I was told it wouldn't hurt, and I believed everybody who told me that it wouldn't hurt because I had no reason to distrust them. And then it hurt like hell. Like, not even just from, like, to the point that the person, like, said they barely even got the stuff to test it. And at this point, I'm thinking they maybe just just straight up maybe lied to me and didn't actually get anything. Because afterward, they told me that the only reason it hurt so much was that my hymen hadn't been broken yet. And the lady who said this, who was the one who did this, just looked at me and glared at me and said this in a way that I can't remember the exact wording, but it was very clearly saying, this wouldn't have hurt if you would just have penetrative sex already, and why aren't you doing that? And that's the only reason it hurt, and you're not allowed to be mad at me for hurting you. It's your own fault. When this looks not like this. She could have simply, let me invert those colors so you can see it. When she came in and saw me and saw what was down there, she could have simply paused and said, okay, before we do anything else, maybe we should talk about what is going on down here because this does not look typical. So maybe we can slow down and think things through, maybe? Just maybe? But no. With, like, speculums, which is the duckbill tool, it's like this. That's not the right color. It's like this. And this is fine for parasex people, and they do come in smaller sizes, but she didn't use a smaller fucking size for me, even though I asked her to. They look like this, and that's fine for parasex people, because this whole thing normally is very stretchy and elastic, because that's how reproductive sex works. That's how babies are made. Things are going in here. It's usually literally fine. But taking this and trying to shove it in there doesn't work. And the lady who did this, she should have stopped the second she saw the fact that I'm intersex, even if she doesn't know that word. She should have realized, okay, that definitely does not look like what I was trained on. That doesn't look like what I've seen. But she didn't. And then afterward, she blamed me for it being literal agony because it felt like I was being stabbed with multiple knives. And again, everybody tells you it won't hurt. So I was completely relaxed. I believed everybody who said it wouldn't hurt. And then I was told it was my fault for not relaxing enough and that I hadn't been having penis and vagina sex, so therefore it's my fault. But the actual answer is I'm literally intersex, and not only did she not stop and think even just for 5 seconds and say anything about the fact that this is not a paratypical vulva setup, she then not only blamed me for being in agony. Like, that was literally fucking traumatizing. She blamed me for it. And then she didn't tell me, by the way, what you have down there doesn't look anything like what's on the medical training that I did. She didn't tell me anything was unusual. She just told, obviously the words intersex were never mentioned because intersexism. And the desire to erase us from fucking existence and knowledge. But she didn't even tell me anything was even remotely different, so, like, literally just told me, oh, yeah, it's your fault you just got tortured. That's your fault. You weren't relaxed enough, even though I was completely relaxed. Because I believed everybody who told me it wouldn't hurt, including my mom, who I kind of want to fucking strangle for this, because she knows that's not true with our family members. Because she told the same lie to my other family members. And then it was agony for them too. And Mom is aware of this, so she just lied to me. And it's like, why? If you are just fucking honest with people that it can hurt if you are intersex, you're not going to hurt anything except not literally gaslighting and victim blaming people whose fucking actual real life anatomy just doesn't match up to the parasex standard, which is not our fucking fault. And just, yeah, this is kind of going on a tangent, but also I again tried to look up if anybody else was talking about the fact that pap smears are painful yesterday, and there's only still just the videos that are victim blaming, so I'm making this. But also I wanted to show just basic intersex variations with hypospadias in particular, because if you try to look up hypospadias, it's almost only ever diagnosed on people with penises, because on people with penises, it's more obvious at birth, and also, very specifically, it fucks with patriarchy's perception of what men are. Real men, TM, are, so that they care about it more. And by care about it more, I mean they will subject people born with penises to intersex genital mutilation to quote-unquote fix. What can I click? I'm right-clicking. to fix them. And it just, there's nothing wrong with having a hypospadic penis or vulva inherently. It's not like it's going to, like, hurt you unless people are doing crap that simply doesn't work with your anatomy. But yeah, it's ridiculous. So, yeah, I just wanted to make basic diagrams because trying to look these things up, especially trying to look up the concept of a sleeve hymen, and I'm going to draw some more diagrams of that, you will just get bloody, gory surgery photos, almost always of babies and children, and these should not just be floating around on the internet in medical journals that anybody can click on. I don't understand how just having these on the internet like that is, like, any way keeping with the Hippocratic Oath, especially for the kids. Like, who do their parents know that these pictures are literally just on the internet? Like, they're I don't understand, but yeah, so a lot of people are realizing they have a sleeve. Okay, but just, anyways, before I get distracted again, if you've had a pap smear and it was agonizing, and you're trying to look things up online and you're just coming up with, let me get the keyboard, and you're just being told you probably have vaginismus, that's just a symptom, or vulvodynia. And dynia just means, like, pain, or what is the other one? Can't remember. Just, and the only thing you can come up with is general pain from the whole area that, oh, it's so mysterious. You may want to just look into intersex variations like this. Not everybody who has a painful pap smear will be intersex, but probably a lot are. Oh, I'm saving it by accident. We don't need to save the video file yet. I don't know if you can see the file explorer, but, well, probably not, I was going to say. But I have a bunch of diagrams of hymens because a lot of them are intersex variations, and this is only one of the possible intersex variations. But if your hymen in any way, like, sticks out like this is called, it's got multiple names. Let's type them out. The one a lot of people are saying is sleeve hymen, because it looks like the end of a coat sleeve. Some medical papers will call it a redundant hymen. And there's like a medical term of hypertrophy. If you've heard the term atrophy, hyper just means a lot. Trophy means, like, growth, size, stuff like that. So hypertrophy of the hymen means it's big like this instead of being like, here's like one example of what a hymen can look like. So, like, that's one hymen type. So, like, oh, I didn't do, just get that. That's one type of hymen versus this one over here. So this would be hypertrophic. This is the same dealio here. Hello, Mr. Lupin. He's standing here with his cute little tail in the air looking for attention. Hello. Also, by the way, for people who don't know cat facial expressions, if they have their eyes narrowed at you, that means they are being cute, and they're calm, and they want attention, and they're showing that they trust you. Yeah, you're adorable. So, there are so many more intersex variations, and 99% of them, doctors will never tell you that you have them, even in other terms, and they almost certainly won't tell you it's an intersex variation. They'll tell you it's something wrong with you that you need to fix. And it's like, that's just not true. Like, it doesn't need to cause you agony. We don't need pap smears to be traumatizing and agonizing. We need doctors who actually know how to treat intersex people and not torture us. We need doctors who are willing to just stop when they see unfamiliar setup in a gynecological situation and they see a vulva that looks nothing like what they trained on. And we need doctors who are willing to actually stop, throw their ego out the fucking window, and care about the patient more than they care about not being embarrassed to say they don't know what to do in this situation and they are unsure. Because if the fucking person who gave me my pap smear had simply paused and talked to me and told me about these differences that I have versus the parasex. Let me copy and paste this to down here. Whoop. Scoot this. If she'd simply stopped and talked to me like a fucking person and said, okay, before we do anything, I want to just be honest with you, and I don't know, print out a diagram of the regular parasex vulva. They have phones, doctors have phones. She could have pulled up an image on her phone and said, okay, here's what the normal, typical vulva looks like, and then maybe give me a mirror or take a picture for me and say, and here's what you've got. So I am not sure if the speculum or if this pap smear is going to work the way it normally does, because here's the tool we have for this. Maybe that's a little bit too big. Here's the tool we have for this. I don't think that's going to work in your situation. Just say these things to people. Just communicate. You didn't have to torture me. And I know I'm not the only one this has happened to. She should have just said, I don't know if the test is going to work the way it normally does, because here's what the typical one looks like. Here's what you have. We could have talked about my basic medical history, like the fact that I was born at 23 and a half weeks. Anything at all. Could have talked about the fact that just so many things, but no. Instead, she very clearly saw that I was not parasex. Even if she doesn't know the word intersex, you can't mistake this and think that's the exact same thing that's going on over here. That's not how this works. Instead of just communicating and caring more about me as the patient than her ego and her need not to be embarrassed and need not to just admit she doesn't know everything in the world, she chose to take this tool and shove it where it doesn't fit, and then blamed me afterward for being in agony and told me it was all in my head because I wasn't relaxed, and that's the only reason I was in pain, even though I was relaxed, because everybody told me that it wouldn't hurt, and I believed them. So, I don't even know where to go with this besides medical misogyny and intersexism, especially intersexist medical misogyny, needs to stop. Gynecologists need to be willing to simply stop before you torture someone. If you are a gynecologist and this is what you're used to seeing, even if it looks like hymens can do this and look like this. Oh, wrong way. But like this whole thing in parasex people, this is like a really, really thin piece of tissue that's it's like a rubber band. You can just move it like here, like this, like this. That's not the right tool. For most people, the hymen is really thin and flexible. You can move it. It's a rubber band. It'll shrink and grow. So even with this kind of hymen setup, I'm being texted. Even with this hymen setup, the speculum will usually go in fine, because this whole thing, this maybe I should have it a different color. Let me just get a different shade of green. We'll do like seafoam. I don't know if that's different enough. We'll do that color for parasex hymens. I don't know. Is that different enough? Make it slightly bluer. Hopefully you can see the difference. I don't know if, hopefully nobody that is colorblind is watching this that can't see the difference. But for parasex people, the hymen is super elastic. It's like a rubber band. So this could still go in there perfectly fine. That's why it's a myth that your first time having penis in vagina sex is quote unquote supposed to hurt and you're supposed to bleed. That's not true. That's not actually how this works. And that's a myth made up by patriarchy to literally keep people perceived as women as property by all this stuff. Hold on. So yeah, like, there's still a very clear difference, and even if we said that if we say this gynecologist has seen someone whose parasex hymen looks like this, so like the quote unquote opening, it's literally not an opening over here though, looked like this, because this is a variation of a hymen you can have. Still, this whole thing is like a rubber band. We're just doing that. It's a rubber band. It'll move. Let me do this just to show, just for sake. The whole thing can move and expand. That's very clearly not what is going on over here with me and with other intersex people who get lied to. So if you are getting your first pap smear and you've never had one before, tell the person performing it that they need to actually communicate with you. They need to be honest with you. They need to actually listen to you when you say to stop. And if you have had a pap smear before and it was excruciating, painful, and traumatizing, find a mirror, get some good lighting, and try to look and see what your vulva looks like. Do you look like this? Do you look like any of these? Any of these? I'm not sure if epispadias will cause the same problems with a pap smear, but to get back to this whole thing, let me bring this down here. These might seem like having the normal one be, I'm just going to have to draw a little circle through the word here. But, okay, that doesn't stand out at all. No, gotta do blue. Not eye burning. That doesn't stand out at all. Okay, we'll just do that. Let me do this. Click. Having the normal urethra be there, but then the other ones are like above and below it. That might not seem dramatic, but this is a relatively small area, so any amount of space makes a dramatic difference for what is on the inside. Let me just attempt to again draw a really basic. Okay, so that is a leg. That's your other leg. Just draw an abdomen. Your stuff here, your butt's over here. You can laugh about that. So we say that's the vulva. Okay. So I don't know the exact placement of these internal organs. I'm just gonna scribble. We'll say that's your bladder. This is not to scale. blah, that's other stuff. I'm just drawing shapes, okay? Just to get the image across. So if you're, again, this is really bad diagram, just to get the concept across. But if your urethra is in the usual place, we'll do purple? We'll do blue, I guess. We'll do blue. Dark blue this time. If your urethra is in the normal spot, we'll draw, again, these are really crappy shapes. So your urethra is right there. That means there's a clear, we'll pretend this is your bladder. There's a clear demarcation. Use that term. There's a clear demarcation of where, again, these are really, really bad shapes, but just pretend it works, okay? Pretend it works. So your urethra's here, your bladder's here. There's no crossover between the urethra and where the pee goes and the bladder and stuff and the vagina and uterus. Just work with me. But if it is, we'll do yellow if that shows up. But if it's down here, then there is crossover between these two things. And again, you can, again, I should have probably thought this through because I could have brought in one of the official medical diagrams that shows these things. But when you have hypospadias, especially, it means that the bladder and the vaginal canal are way, way closer than they normally are. Let's see, I'll try and just draw another diagram. I don't think that's very helpful. So, okay, we'll pretend that's the opening. I guess I should scroll down more. Maybe I should just scroll. I'll just start scrolling to the side. Okay, so, actually, yeah, give me that. If you're pro tip, if you're rotating things in old MS Paint and you rotate it and it clips like that, you just gotta copy what you flipped and then paste it in again, and it'll be normal. See, like, I'll copy that, Control C, and it's still normal. I just gotta do it again to get it back on its side. See, it just does that. It's fine. Just copy with your keyboard shortcuts or right-clicking, and then paste it. So, remove that. Let's do this. Pretend we are looking at it with some perspective. Okay? So, let's say, here's the vaginal canal. Also, I'm not an expert in any of this. I'm just an intersex person who had really crappy sex ed who's trying to help other people. So, please, for the love of all that's holy, tell me if I'm getting anything wrong. And please spread that the correct information elsewhere. So here's basic concept. So we have, that's the vaginal canal. Let's pretend that. We'll even put a fake cervix up here. Just looks like a donut. We'll put that there. And then the urethra, we'll do, what color? We'll just do pink. We haven't used pink yet. We'll say your bladder is right here. Whoop, if I can click the damn button. Okay. So if your urethra is in the normal spot up here, I guess I should pick different colors for the different positions. So we'll do, yeah, we'll just do like we'll do purple. Purple's a nice color. You can never go wrong with purple. Purple is the parasex position. Is that as big as that line will get? Yeah. So purple is parasex. Hello, Mr. Lupin! You wanna come here? You wanna come purr for the camera? He said no, I'm just gonna leave immediately. You're adorable! So, we pretend that's there, okay? Now, if you have hypospadias, you start getting crossover. And even if it's not fully... Hello! He's just looking at me so expectantly. What are you doing? You're so cute. You want to sit up here? You can sit with me. I would point the camera at him, but I can't because he's a kitty. And we're recording on MS Paint. Sorry, but imagine an adorable little, slightly taller now, tuxedo cat with little gold eyes. He's the runt of the litter. Hold on, I'm being asked if I want a smoothie. You can get me strawberry. Strawberry banana, that is. So, when you have hypospadias, you start to get crossover, and even if it's not complete, like at the edge, and fully connecting here, there's meant to be like a fleshy wall. We'll do like, I don't know, what's flesh color? We'll do, no, red's too morbid. We'll just do another shade of, we'll do blue. We'll pretend we're in Stardust. This is meant to be like a solid wall separating I can't remember what it's called. It might be just called the urethral canal. Separating that from your vaginal canal so that when things, like a speculum, I guess I gotta do a different color for that now, like a speculum is going in here. You have all this blue wall here and up here to stop things from running into each other and stuff like that. So if you have hypospadias, suddenly that wall separating these things is a lot thinner, and in some forms of hypospadias might not exist at all, especially if you have, oh, well, that's a circle, hold on. The one that is referred to as a persistent urogenital sinus, because then that means there is no wall at all separating them. It's just going directly from the bladder into the vaginal canal, so there is no wall separating it at all. So that's where a lot of pain can come in. What color should we do for lack of wall? I guess pink, because it would just be pink, I guess. We'll do that. And then we'll do a little circle here to show that there's no separation. And this can lead to not only, let me check my phone. Okay. This can lead not only to a lot of pain during things like penetrative sex or a pap smear, because the stuff, either a speculum or a dildo or a penis, is going to be hitting that. It can also lead to a lot of urinary tract infections because it's literally going over here, so meaning stuff from the vaginal canal is getting into there, and that can cause a lot of pain and stuff like that. And yeah, so even though these might not seem like really big differences on the outside, and a lot of parasex people will brush it off and say, oh, that's normal, that's completely normal, that's barely any difference at all. What you see on the outside is vastly underrepresenting what changes are going on the inside, because again, like, this is a relatively small area. There's a big difference in any amount of distance between these things, because they're not let me just draw it again. This doesn't the outside of this thing doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's all connected. This isn't just, oh, yeah, that's fine. It doesn't matter where you place that. It's all the same. It's not the same, because all of this is hooked up to the internal plumbing or pipes and stuff like that. Stuff like this. So, hopefully this helps at all. But I'll even copy this again so you can have, if you want to take a screenshot of this basic diagram of just how this outside stuff translates to the inside stuff. Just as a basic diagram drawn in MS Paint by somebody who is not an expert. I've just been researching this since January, and mostly coming up with nothing, and the other things I'm coming up with is just gore. medical gore that's too fucking easy to find, and when you try to not look like for that, you have pretty much no other options. Technically, you can look for porn, but I'm not fucking doing that. I don't want to, and I shouldn't have to. So that's why I'm making this video. So, yeah, I guess I will upload this to various places so people can use it as a basic educational diagram if they want it. There are people online who are collecting diagrams of these things and looking for research on it. But, yeah, so hopefully this is helpful, not too rambling. I will not apologize for rambling, though, because I don't plan any of these. Oh no. I was going to say, we cut it off there a bit. That's fine. That was the bad scribble anyways. Yeah, we went over, let me just summarize the video. We talked about basic hypospadias and epispadias in a vulva as opposed to a penis. Yes. Vulva. Click. Okay. Pap smears aren't painful if you're parasex most of the time, and if your pap smears are painful, you might be intersex. Let me just... Let me put a dash. We got some bullet points going. Doctors just will not tell you. Let's put it that way. Doctors will not tell you if you're intersex, and they won't even tell you that you're atypical unless they feel personally offended by your body. And personally offended also includes the intersex genital mutilation that is justified by upholding the sex binary and all of that shit and patriarchy. Doctors especially will not tell you if you are intersex or atypical, especially if you have a vulva. Let's make that dark berry red. That's annoying to read. Never mind, we'll do it black again. We'll just underline it for emphasis, because it's ridiculous. If you pretend you're a gynecologist, does this, click, does this look like this? No, it does not. It does not. Unfortunately can't give you more information on epispadias, because I don't have that, and that's even harder to find people talking about in people with vulvas than hypospadias. And it seems like there's not even that much information on it in people with penises either. So I was just gonna say, add another note to here. Oh, if you are trying to look these things up, you will probably have better luck looking at old fucking gynecology textbooks from the literal 18 blah blahs than any recent things, because I've borrowed a bunch of modern gynecology textbooks from the Internet Archive and has returned them all because they're not talking about any of this. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong places, but if you look up things like the Treatise on Gynecology or Operative Gynecology, just look for gynecology textbooks from the 18 blah blahs. They are very casual about talking about hypospadias, which is ridiculous. But these days, you can barely find any information, and if you look at Wikipedia, until like a week or so ago, it doesn't. Any information you find casually on the internet talking about the fact that hypospadias can appear in a vulva as well as a penis, that all just happened in this year 2026 because me and at least one other person who's good at actually editing Wikipedia, thank you whoever you are, I don't know how to look you up, but thank you, are putting this information out there, and it's 2026 and this is the first time this information's actually getting out there properly, which is absurd and just intersexist medical misogyny. If you are looking for examples of intersex variations in these old-ass gynecology textbooks, since new ones won't mention us, you will have to look under the section labeled diseases and malformations of the vulva and vagina and female reproductive tract, like that. Like, the word malformations is like your keyword, because that's how they see intersex people. This is a malformation. And again, this, wow, that's not even the right thing. This is the diagram that I found in the book from 18 blah blah that looks pretty much exactly like me, except the hymen is more open than mine is. Maybe. It depends. It's a medical illustration, but this was described by that textbook as atresia of the vagina and uterus, or rudimentary uterus. And again, it's a textbook from like 100+ years ago. I don't know how trustworthy it is for diagnoses, especially because it's also, if you are looking in these things, they will be filled with blatant racial phrenology by claiming that black and brown people are more likely to be intersex and more likely to have all these things, and it's literally just white supremacy. They're just doing racial phrenology, because it's a whole goddamn thing to claim that black and brown people are sexually ambiguous and more beast-like, because in contrast, that makes white people who are less likely to be intersex, literally according to the racial phrenologists, that's how they prove that white people are more civilized on a biological level, and I'm not fucking joking. The sex binary is literally white supremacy. The idea that male and female are two discrete, distinct categories that everybody falls into is literally white supremacy. White supremacy, I'm not even remotely fucking joking. It's white supremacy. White supremacy says this is what all females have. And if you have this, well, no, you don't. There's just something wrong with you. You don't count. That doesn't count. If you have this, no, that doesn't count. No, you don't. You're lying. You're just a liar. If you've got any of these, no, you don't. No, you don't. It's just in your head. You're just making that up. It's your own fault that this medical procedure designed. Let's do it over here. It's just your fault that this. Can I scroll? That this medical procedure. We'll do a circle because it goes long ways. It's your fault that this medical procedure is hurting you when it's jamming up against those things and jamming up against that thing right there. That's your fault. That's all in your head. It's your fault for not having penis in vagina sex yet, according to the person who tortured me with this fucking shit. Yeah, that's your fault. That's your fault that hurts. Not my fault as a doctor for not simply stopping and reassessing the situation and communicating like a professional paid adult who gets paid to do this. Yeah. I can't think if there's anything else that I should bring up. Yeah. Happy Pride Month. If you've ever had, let me undo Control Z so I can remove. Nope, I guess it's just gonna stay there. I was trying to remove that. Alright, we'll just redo. Okay, now. Let me get rid of the stuff I messed up. I think that's as far back as we can go. Alright, good enough. If you've had a painful pap smear, you might be intersex. If you have been diagnosed with vaginismus, which is just the catch-all female hysteria, you might be intersex. If you sat through sex ed as a kid or just watched TV shows that are making fun of people for not knowing everybody has 2 holes, and you are just baffled and thinking that's literally not correct, well, you're probably intersex. I think my smoothie has arrived. Let me go get the door. I'm recording a video at the moment. We're still pausing the video. Room in your freezer? Yeah, you don't want it. No, I do, but I don't know if I will or why. You gonna talk? You wanna talk for YouTube? I don't know if you can hear that little baby chirping. Let the baby sit. Before everybody else steals your food? Hello, pretty boy. Alright. You going in there? Yeah. Scoot your tail. Okay. Alrighty. My smoothie has arrived. I think we've covered pretty much everything I wanted to cover. I will just attempt to be making more videos like this, just explaining basic intersex variations and experiences that your doctors will not tell you about. If you are going to get a pap smear, it's not... Oh, I gotta go out front again. Hold on, going in and out for stuff. You're just so chirpy. You're a chirpy baby. Okay, I'll just end the video here. Various things going on, various interruptions. Hopefully this was educational. Hopefully I didn't get anything terribly wrong. Feel free to screenshot the diagram. It's public domain because I made it and I said so. Alright, happy Pride. Learn about intersex variations because you might be intersex and your doctor won't tell you. Bye-bye.